Hello everyone and welcome to the session. So basically we are conducting basic to advanced level SQL. So full basically it will be also practical session. So today is the day number 8. So in a today's session we will learn about the advanced SQL and real time scenario. Okay. So basically till late we have completed the basic SQL. Then we have also completed intermediate SQL. In that basically we have also checked the constraint, DML, DDL, different type of syntax. Then constraint. Then we have also completed the different type of data types and all the example we have taken. Okay, so now we are going for the advanced level. So in advanced level, basically, if you are the working experience or if you are the fresher, so most probably this advanced part is the most important in a SQL. So basically, most probably 30 to 80%, 60% question in the interview ask about this topic. Okay, so basically the view, store procedure, function, then also in a next lecture we also check that how we can error handle in a SQL, then different type of error handling method. Okay, so how we can use the try catch block. So in the next section we will check, but in a today's session we will focus on the advanced SQL with the real time scenario. Okay, so basically in that basically we are going to for the what is the view, then what is the store procedure, and then what is the function. Okay, then also we will go through by the definition as well as syntax. Then we will also take the real time example. Okay. So this is a document I have already prepared and we will go by this document. Okay. So in a theoretical part, I will explain you create and managing view, then user defined function, then that we call as the UDF. Okay. Then we will also go through for the store procedure, then parameter. Okay. How we can pass the parameter. Then practically we will also creating the managing the view, then define view show the highest number of the student. Okay, then writing store procedure we also take that this one, then writing function. So this is the different type of the practical session we will conduct. Okay. Okay, so we have the two table, one is the student table and second one is the department table. Okay, so based on these two table basically we will creating and basically we are creating this table, and based on these two table we are performing the operation, or we are creating the views, then so procedure, then function. Okay, so first of all we will go through for the theoretical part. Okay, so first one is the creating and managing the view. So basically might be all of you know that view. Okay, also in an interviewer ask you about the what is the view. Okay, so that time you need to tell the definition. Okay, so what is the definition? Say that a view is a virtual table using a SQL query. Okay, so it does not store data itself, but the present data from the one or more table. Okay, so basically view is a virtual table in a SQL server. Okay, so basically in that basically data is not stored, but it is a represent data. Okay, it is not store data itself. Okay, but it is a present data from the one or more table. Okay, so basically this is the definition of the view. So then we will go for the syntax. Okay, how we can declare or how we can define the syntax for the view. So basically we will define the view using this syntax. Okay, so this is the create, then view. So this is the two are the keyword. Okay, so create view, then here is the view name. So whatever the as per the requirement we can give the view name. Then this is the alias like as, so it will be indicating that this view start from here. Okay, so we will uh, write a select statement under the view, like select then column from the table and where the condition. Or you can also create a view for the different joining the two table, like table number one or table number two. So this is a normal, basically one syntax for the view. So now we will go by the creating the view. For the we will check the how we can create a view. So basically the example that we will take is create a view to list the student with the marks greater than 70. So basically we need to create a view that will basically return the student marks greater than 70. Okay, who have the student who is having the marks greater than 70. So based on this view, so how we can create that view. Okay, in our interview, maybe interviewer ask you, can you create a view basically from this table, and this table containing the student data, and you can return the data like student who is having the marks greater than 17. So this type of question maybe interviewer ask you. Okay, so then how we can create a view for this? Okay, so I have already created table, so let me open my database. Okay, so now we will conduct the practical session. So this is my SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, so in that SQL Server Management Studio, we are using the like the Learn SQL. This is our database. Okay, so we will write a new query. Okay, once you come here, then I have already created the table like the student. So I will first of all show you the data from the student table. Okay, okay, so this is my table. Okay, so in a student table, roll number, student name, department ID, marks and age. Okay, so this is my student table. So based on this student table, we need to generate a view. Okay, how we can create a view? So as per the definition that I already told you, so first of all we need to write a syntax like create view, then view name, and then we will provide the aliases. Okay, so I will directly copy this syntax and I will explain you this syntax. Okay, so basically this is my student table. So basically create, then we will use the view, create view. This is my view name as a highest mark student. Okay, then as, then we will select roll number, student name, marks from the student where the marks greater than 70 as per the requirement, because of in a question. So this is a day 8, query for the date. Okay, okay, so based on this table we need to generate a view. Okay, we need to create a view. So if I execute this query, so command run successfully. So you can check, you can go to the in a database, then you can go to the view. Okay, so you can check one view is created. Okay, so you can check dbo dot hash marks student. Okay, so this view created. If you want, you can check the design. Okay, so this is the design mode. So you can check, this is the view, and this view select roll number, student, marks, student name, and then marks from the table like a student, and where the condition marks greater than 17. So this is the view design part. So if I have already created view, then how we can return the data from this view? Okay, so for that we need to simply select, just like select star from, just like we will return the data from the table, same like that we need to write a syntax for the select star from, and this is my view. So I will copy this name and I will run this view. Okay, if I execute this query, then it will be return me the whatever the output. Okay, from the views. Okay, so basically you can check the roll number, student name and marks. So we have given the condition like marks greater than 17. So whose student marks greater than 17, those data will be reflected. So out of the whatever the data, so I will show you the both tables, then you will understood. Okay, so one is the student table and second one is the view. So if you run this two table, then you can check, this is my student table and this is my marks. Okay, so greater than 80. Okay, so so this is the 80, then Siddesh having the 19.5. So those two data will be written. Okay, based on the view. Okay, so this way we can create a view in a database. Okay, so now we will go by the next one. So we have created view, then we also how we can run the view, so that I already explained you. Then we will go by the second. Okay, so this is the user defined function. So that all of you know that function, so basically any kind of the task that we can perform in a database, so we can create a function for that. So function is a small set of instruction. Okay, so for example, if you are the performing some of the arithmetic operation, so that arithmetic operation repeatedly required in my in a any kind of the store procedure. Okay, so for that means multiple time writing that code, so instead of that we can create a one kind of the function. Okay, so for that function we can pass the parameter and whatever the output that we can run the function, and we can take the output from that function. So basically function that are categorized into two types. So first one is the user defined function and second one is the system function. So if you go to the database, so you can check. So you can check in my database. So this is my Learn SQL database. In that, so this is the view. Then you can go by the programmability. So under that programmability, this is my, here you can check in the second position. This is the function. So if you scroll down the function, then you can check different type of function available. So table valued function, scalar value function, then aggregate function, system function. So basically these two function, so it is a system defined function. Okay, so it is a by default SQL Server create a function. So for example, aggregate function, if you are performing like the mean, minimum, average, then addition, then subtraction, for that system defined function. Okay, so this is function. Also you can check the like aggregation function, then configuration function, then you can check the string function. So these are the different type of function that is a categorized into the system function. So now this is the user defined function. So basically the second type is the user defined function. So basically user defined function, that means ki user also create, means whatever the database user, they can also create a function in a SQL server. So that called as a user defined function. So a user-defined function is created by the user to perform the operation and return the single value or table. So this is the definition for the user-defined function. So the syntax for the scalar function. So scalar function means this is the function that come under the this part. Okay, so this is the scalar function. So as of now, there is a one function already exists, get bonus. Okay, so whenever we create a additionally or externally function that come around into the this scalar function, or whenever we create a function on the table, so it will be come around the table valued function. Okay, so that I will explain you later in a deeply, but as of now we can just remember in a like there are two function, one is the user defined function, second one is the system function. Okay, so how we can create a function? So basically, so creating the function, we can write this syntax like create then function. So this is the keyword that we need to use for the creating the function. Then this is the function name. Then after that, if any type of the parameter that we'll use, then we can define the parameter as well as we can type the data type. Okay, then return. So function can be return any value. Okay, so in the next lecture we will also check that what is the definition, what is the difference between function and store procedure. So this is also we can check in the next lecture. Okay, so it will be return data type, then as. So this indicating that this function start from here, like begin and end. In between that we can write a function whatever the expression. Okay, so this is a simple syntax for the function. Okay, then we will check by the example by the creating the table valued function. Okay, so basically second is the syntax for the table valued function. So this is a scalar function. So basically the table valued function, so you can check. So it will be return the table. Okay, so it will be return the table. So create function name, then after that parameter, after that as, then return, like select column name from the table. Okay, where the condition, that means it will be return the table data from the database. Okay, so that's why it is a called as a table valued function. Okay, in a scalar, so we will write a expression for the returning the data. Okay, so this is the difference between the scalar function and table valued function. So now we will take the one example, then we will understood what is the function. Okay, so the example is that return the student grade based on the marks. Okay, so basically we need to create a one function, basically that function return the grade based on the marks. For example, if you check, I will copy this query and I will explain. Okay, so second one we will checking that. So first of all we will check that view. Okay, and now we will go by the function. Okay, so now what I will do, so I will directly copy this syntax and I will explain. Okay, okay, so here we have created one function, like creating the function we use the create, then function, then this is my function name, like get grade. Okay, so basically in a student table, if you check, in a student table there are different data, but in a question ask that about the return the student grade based on the marks. Okay, so we need to define the grade. So basically if the student belong for that particular grade, then it will be categorized like that. Okay, so like grade A. So if you check, so begin declare, so this is the one, the variable that I declare. So that is the data type is the varchar 10. So here is the condition, like if statement we will use if marks greater than or equal to 85. So then it will be setting the grade, like set grade equal to A plus. Okay, so basically if the marks greater than or equal to 85, then we will define the grade as a A plus. Okay, then else if marks greater than or equal to 17, then we will setting the grade as A. Okay, then else if then the marks greater than equal to 15, then we will define the grade as a B grade. Okay, then else means if suppose any of not condition will be satisfied, then this else statement will be executed. Okay, so if the marks, then we will directly set the marks, then we will directly set the grade as a C default. Okay, so up means that means ki below 50 marks the automatically grade it will be set as a C. Okay, and then we will return the grade. Okay, so this function return the grade. If you check return data type is a varchar, that means it will be return the grade, like sorry, A plus, A, then B or C, like that. Okay, so now I hope you will understood the function, so how we can define the function, how we can create a function. Okay, so I will execute this function. Okay, so command run successfully, that means ki we have created the function. Okay, so I will refresh the database, and if you check, okay, so what I will do, I will refresh. Okay, I have refreshed the database, and now we will go by the database. This is my database, Learn SQL. Into that programmability, and in that function. So now we have created the scalar function. So you can check. So this is my function, like get grade. Okay, dbo dot get grade, this function created automatically. Okay, so now we have created the function, then what we will do, so we will run this function. Okay, so for the run this function means how we can call this function. Okay, so basically in the SQL, so this is syntax for the running the SQL. So like select, then student name marks, then dbo dot, sorry, this is the function, like select, then student name marks, and the dbo dot grade name, that we call as a marks, as grade from the student. So basically I will copy this one, and first of all I will copy here. Okay, paste here. Okay, so basically how we can call the function. Okay, so basically we will select star from, so our function name is this one function name, so get grade. So I will copy this, and you can check, we will pass the one parameter like marks. Okay, so basically we need to pass the one marks. Okay, So basically, if suppose I will pass the 40, and then we will run the query. Okay, so this we need to pass the dbo. We will provide the schema. Okay, dbo dot, okay, dbo dot get grade. Okay, now I will execute. Okay, okay, so this control X and directly select dbo dot grade. Okay, so we have not provided the name. Okay, so I will provide the name as grade. Okay, so then I will execute. So basically the 40 is the command of the C, because of if you check in a function, whatever the less than the 50 marks, it will be automatically come into the grade C. If I give the 90 marks, then it will be come around the A plus. Okay, so this is a simple thing, but how we can check the grade for the student table? Okay, so this is my student table. Okay, so this is my student table, and I want the grade as well. Okay, so as of now, only four column will it will be written, like roll number, student name, department ID, marks. But this marks, which grade, so it come into which grade, so we need to identify, and we can directly run along with the table. So for that, in a below query, it will be useful, like select. Then we will also taking the student name from this column. Okay. Then we will take the marks from this column, and here we are calling the function. In a function, you can check dpo dot get grade in a bracket marks. So this marks means this column. So this marks we will pass to the this query, and based on this, the function, it will be evaluated, like, so that marks come around which category, like this mark is greater than or equal to 85, then it will be going to the, we will assign the grade as a plus. Okay, so now I will execute the query. Okay, so if I execute the query, then you can check. So it will be giving me the student name, marks, then grade. Like 40 marks come around the C grade, 15.5 come around the B grade, 60 come around the B grade. Then Nikita having the 80 marks, so it will be come around the A grade, and 19.5 marks come around the A plus. Okay, so on. Okay, so this way we can create a function in a SQL server. Okay, so now we'll going for the next one. So the next one is the store procedure and parameter. So basically the store procedure, most of the interviewer ask you the question into the store procedure. Okay, so store procedure are the SQL code save to the reviews again and again. You can pass the parameter to the filter the result, or the definition is that show procedure is the repeatedly SQL statement. Okay, so we can write a repeatedly SQL statement into the one code that we call as a show procedure. Okay, so there are different type of definition, as can you can you can explain you the as per the requirement. Okay, so you can explain the definition for the show procedure. Okay, so the show procedure is a pre-compile SQL statement. Okay, so it will be compiled once and we can call multiple time. Okay, so the syntax for the show procedure, and it is a very important in a SQL server. So you can write a show procedure for the any particular any complex code, or if you working on any kind of the project, and where it is required that we need the data, like repeatedly data required, then we can, instead of the writing the syntax SQL queries, then we can directly create a store procedure. Okay, the store procedure having the two type, one is the parameterized store procedure, second one is the non-parameterized. We can also pass the parameter, or we can, if required, we can not pass the parameter, so as per the your requirement. Okay, so the syntax for the show procedure. So we can create a show procedure. So basically, creating the store procedure very simple. So like create. So this is a keyword. Then procedure. This is the name for the store procedure. Sorry, this is the procedure keyword. Then we can define the procedure name. Create procedure. Then here we need to provide the procedure name. Then after that, if any kind of the parameter we need to pass, then we can pass the parameter like at the rate parameter 1, then we can define the data type. At the rate parameter 2, then we can define the data type, or we can also call it as a default value. We can also pass the default value for the parameter. Okay, then from here the code is started. Okay, like begin and end. In between that we can place the whatever the SQL statement that we need to create a show procedure. Okay, we can write under the begin and end statement. Okay, so this is simple syntax for the show procedure. Okay, now we will take the example for the show procedure. Okay, so the next one is a store procedure. So third one is the store procedure. Okay, okay. So store procedure. So basically, the question is that so you need to create a store procedure. So here is the example: fetch the student detail by the department. Okay, so that means कि we need to fetch the data from the two tables, student table and department table. Okay, so how we can create a store procedure for that? Okay, so I will write a question here. So if you know about the table, like this is my student table. Okay, and also we have the another table. Okay, so if you check in my database, student and department table is also is there. Okay, select star from department. Okay, so in a department you can check there are different department one, 2, 3, 4: computer, electrical, mechanical, civil. Okay, so in a question are that fetch the student detail by the department. So we need to provide the data like the department wise student. Okay, so for example, the roll number 1 Ram is belong from the department 1, but we need to provide the which department, and we need to categorize into the department wise student. Okay, so for that how we can create a show procedure for that? So basically for that I will create a new query. Okay, so basically I will directly copy this query and then I will explain you how we can create a show procedure. Okay, so I have pasted the query. Okay, okay. So basically here we have created the procedure. Sorry, create procedure. Then this is my procedure name. Get student by department. Okay, get the student by the department. Okay, then we will pass the parameter like department ID. So in a procedure we will pass the department ID, and from that particular department which student belong from the department ID. So we need to identify. Okay, after that the department ID, it is a parameter. Okay, and it is a parameter is a integer data type. Okay, then as so the my procedure start from here. It is indicating as. Then we will use the begin, and in begin and end. So in between that we have written the code for the store procedure. So here what we can do, so simply we will join the two table. So this is student table, and we inner join to the department table. Okay, so or we have the DEPT. Okay, department. Okay, so this is my department table. So department D on the S dot department ID equal to D dot department ID. Okay, so if I show you the two table, you can check in my this two table. You can check this is my department ID from the student table, and this is department ID from the department table. So based on this key we will join these two table, and we will retrieve the data. Okay, so like select S dot roll number, S dot student name, and D dot department name, S dot marks, and S dot age. Okay. So if I execute this query, command run completed successfully. So we have created the procedure like get student by department. So once we created the store procedure, then how we can check? So first of all, I will refresh the database. Then I will go to the Learn SQL. Then go to the programmability. And whenever we create any kind of the store procedure, it will be stored under the programmability under the store procedure. If we click on the plus icon, so you can check. So this is store procedure. It is created successfully. Okay. DBO dot get student by the department ID. Okay. Now how we can run the store procedure? So running the store procedure, we will use the exec. So this is indicating that execute. Then after that we will pass the name of the store procedure. Okay. So this is the name of the store procedure. If after that, if my store procedure having the parameter, okay, if you in this store procedure we have the one parameter like department ID, so we need to provide the parameter. If suppose not we have not defined any kind of parameter, then we will directly run the store procedure. But if suppose we define the parameter as store procedure and we directly run, it will be giving the error like store procedure or function get student by department expect the parameter like at the rate department ID, which is not supplied. So we need to provide the parameter. Okay. So for example, if suppose we will pass the parameter like 1, and then if I execute the show procedure, so it will indicate near the syntax. Okay. Get student department ID 1. Okay. So we will directly pass the 1. Okay. So now we can check. So first of all, I will show you the student table. Okay. So you can check, we have passed the 1 for the show procedure like 1 means this is a department. So who belong from the department ID 1, those data it will be retrieved. So you can check, this is my student table. Okay. In the student table you can check department ID 1, belong from the department ID 1 is a Ram and Sham belong from the department ID 1. So basically this data will be retrieved in a store procedure like this is my store procedure output. So roll number 1 and 2, Ram and Sham belong from the computer department, and this is the marks and this is the age. So this way we can pass the parameter and we can retrieve the data from the store procedure. Like so, for example, if suppose we write this is a syntax like we will pass the parameter. So it will be repeatedly task. Okay. So for example, if we uh, pass the 4. So 4 department who belong from the 4 department like 1 is the student like Aditya is from the civil department. Okay. So we can pass the parameter as per the requirement like department ID 3. If we execute, then the Siddesh and Pratik belong from the department ID 3 like the mechanical department. Okay. So this way we can create a store procedure. Okay. Now we will go for the next one. So we have checked function, view, and show procedure. Now we will go by the practical session. Okay. So basically the creating the managing the view. So we can create a one problem statement like this is the one problem statement that we will take. Okay. So I will copy this problem statement. You can read the problem statement. I will copy this. Okay, so basically create a view to display the student having marks above the 17. That I already explained you, so we will not go again for that part. Then problem statement second. So we have already created one view that basically returning the marks greater than 17. Okay. Then we will directly go by the show procedure. So show procedure basically write a show procedure for the complete student detail with department name. So here basically we will create a procedure. Okay, but it will be return the all the data from the both table. So here we have not provided any kind of the parameter. So basically we have the there is a two type of the show procedure. One is a parameterized show procedure and second one is a the means non parameter any the non parameter. Okay, so here we have created the procedure that we have not used any kind of the parameter like create procedure get student detail. So whatever the data available in a board table it will be written based on this join. Okay, so in that basically begin and end we will use a s dot student name, roll number, student name, department name, marks and age. From the student we will do the alias as s, then department d, like we will use the dept. Okay, so if I create this show procedure created successfully, and now we will execute exec. So this is the syntax for the executing the show procedure, like exec. Then you will use the get student detail, and now I will execute the show procedure. So all the data like roll number, student, department, marks, and age, all the data written by the show procedure. Okay, so this is the practical number second problem statement second, and then we will go by the function. Okay, so the problem statement for the function is that I will copy the problem statement. Like problem statement, create a function to return the age group based on the student age. Okay, so we need to create a group for the age. Okay, we need to create a group by the means a group for the age. Okay, so how we can write a query for that. So a query I already written in my document. I will just explain you this query. Okay, so first of all I will copy the query. So basically you can check create function. This is my function name, and then there is a parameter like age. It is an integer. Then it will be return the varchar type data as this is from the this is the code for the this function. So this function basically we have declare the one variable like group, and then we will define the data type like varchar 20. If age less than 20, then set the group is a teen. Okay, if the age between the 20 to 24, then it will be come around the group into the young adult. Okay, and else it will be going to the adult. Okay, so basically this is a simple function for the grouping the age based on the student age. Okay, so if I execute this function command completed successfully. So we have created this function. So if you go to the function in a scalar function, you can check get age group. So this is my function. So how we can return the data, select, then after that we will pass the we will provide the function name, and then we will provide the age. Okay, like age, like suppose for example so if I execute this, then you can check the group. Okay, select age as the 5, then it will be going to the teen because of age is a less than 20. Okay, then it will be going for the teen. If the age between the 20 to 24, then young adult, and if the greater than 24, then it will be going to the 25. Okay, it will be going for the ordered. Okay, so this way we can create a function. So now we will take the two example, the now conclusion. So basically in a today's session we will conclude that. So we have checked the how we can define the view, how we can create a view. We also take the example for the view. Okay, then we'll take the example like showing the only student with the marks greater than 70 for the reporting. Okay, then store procedure. So basically, we also check that how we can define the store procedure, how we can retrieve the data, how we can create a procedure with a parameter, without parameter. For that, we will take the example like fetching the student detail with based on the department information. Okay. Then we also check that function. So there is a different type of function like user defined function, then system function. Then we also created the function like generating the grade or categorize student based on the age, or we have defined the grade based on the marks. So this is a simple thing that we have completed. So in a combination of the these three, so we will perform the different type of operation in a SQL project. So basically so this is the thing that we have done in a today's session. I hope you will understood the this concept, SQL concept, in a today's session.